Morning, everybody. And do a quick video here on my channel. Got Alan on this morning, seeing as how he's been kicked off of his for a while. Alan, tell people where they can find you other than here. Where's your new Facebook channel? I don't think people realize you have a Facebook channel.
Well, I do. It's either under the name Alan Hughes or Flat Earth Nation. I've been doing videos there, and we've been kind of stack them, knowing that we can premiere them later on YouTube. Because from what I can see, that the BitChute and the Facebook for Mudflood is just a way to die. I mean, you have to stay on YouTube for a while anyway.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just going to suffer. But we've been studying, learning, still picking up on Mesoamerica, the Maya, the Aztec, the Inca. Some of the other things they're writing in math is coming more into play now.
Right.
And it seems other people are thinking that, like I think the United States might be Egypt now. There's a lot of scholars saying, no, it might be South America.
Yeah, we were just talking before this started of how the history, we hear all these great stories of the Vikings and they were great sailors and just these different people, but they act like the Mayans couldn't go from Mexico up to Florida like a 200-mile sail. It's just ridiculous the way one group gets, oh, they're just amazing. These guys, they did these pyramids, but they couldn't sail. It's like, come on, man. That's why that shit's found in Georgia, that Mayan blue.
Yeah.
That's clay. Only place it's found is Georgia? That's crazy.
The deep, richest stuff, and that it went all over. And as far as that the only place that there's placer gold is the type of nuggets that are on the surface.
Right.
And the only place where you can find 24 karat nuggets, because usually they're like, a variety of 22, 21, 17, is in North Carolina. A certain place. So somebody just must have been good as gold in North Carolina.
That area, right?
He must have been right there going, like, thinking, today I'm going to go ask Noah what he means to repent,
Right.
Or, before the flood or something. Or he must have been going, like, on his way to the boat and going, no.
Hey, man, wait for me.
But something happened. There's some good, where your treasure is, there's your heart.
Right. And I don't think enough people realize they've got, the Bible tells it, history alludes to it. They don't always get on board with it. But how after the flood, topography changed, geography changed. Then again, after Armageddon, geography, topography changed. And people keep saying, well, see, here's where Jerusalem was on this map. Well, that was then. This is now. It's all changed. It's all been moved since those maps. So you have to be willing to, I don't know, what do you say? See the big picture of what could have been before a huge flood. And then, geez, after Armageddon, the mountains were moved. It says it right there. Are you froze, Alan? Are you messing with me again? Because you do that. I hope you're not froze. I heard a cough.
I was froze for a second. On my screen, you went away first, and then I went. You both came back.
Yeah. Well, did you hear what I was saying?
Yeah, I only lost you for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, I mean,
and then I lost myself for a couple of seconds.
Right. So
that's what it looks like, huh? When it happens.
Right. That's what it's like. So I appreciate those old maps. I love those old maps and the way it always depicts flat Earth, and those are from their perspective, and then you put the whole picture together, like Alan said. Egypt could have very well been America or Mexico throughout, the Americas here. You keep freezing up, Alan. You want to restart and come back in? Because you're getting a bad signal this morning. But y'all don't know how many of y'all saw the video last night of that Alan did with the guy with the Mayan math that they found in the cave. That was pretty cool. You're back. Good.
Yeah, I was blocked out though. Did you stay on the whole time? Because I got a note that it was kind of my Wi-Fi's fault there.
Yeah, I stayed on. It's no problem. Big pig slappers in. What's up?
Tell me what this looks like when I share. Do we get the full screen or enough for people to see anything? Like if I wanted to show this Bible verse.
You're not sharing.
Are you hearing my voice?
Yeah, I can see you.
I wonder why it says I'm sharing. Do you have to click something that says allow share? Or...
There you go. It's me. I figured I got it now. It's sharing.
So it says ask, seek, and knock. And I want to read this verse and just have you put some of these timestamps, because so many times people just focus on Matthew 24 where it says this generation.
Right.
A couple of times.
Right.
But they really were, and I think we have to look at it as a house divided. And also snakes and scorpions. How common are those over there in the Israel of today?
Right.
That was earlier in verses 11, 12, and 13. But let's just pick it up. And one day Jesus was driving a demon out of a mute. And when the demon was gone, the man who had been mute spoke. The crowd was amazed, but some of them said, it is by Beelzebub, the prince of demons, that he drives out demons. And the others tested him by demanding a sign from heaven. Knowing their thoughts, Jesus said to them, every kingdom divided against itself will be laid waste, and a house divided against a house will fall. If Satan is divided against himself, how can his kingdom stand? After all, you say, I drive out demons by Beelzebub. And if I drive them out by Beelzebub, by whom do your sons drive them out? So then they will be your judges. But if I drive out demons by the finger of God, then the kingdom of God has come to you. And I just wanted to add that finger of God, in the Indiana Jones and a lot of other things, the finger of God is a lot more important than maybe even I knew. So,
right.
Yeah. So we have to know what's going on there, and it has come upon you, the people he was talking to.
Right, you. It has come upon you.
We need to keep it what they're going to teach our children in college, how to do a sentence. Do you understand? They were talking to them, not your parents.
Exactly.
So I'll continue. When a strong man, fully armed, guards his house, his possessions are secure. But when someone stronger attacks and overpowers them, he takes away the armor in which the man trusted, and then he divides up the plunder. He who is not with me is against me, and he who does not gather with me scatters. And I don't care if people don't like it, because George Bush kind of used that. With Jesus, it should be true to you.
Right, right.
Now, this is another one that we're going to need to break down more, Tommy. Right. When an unclean spirit comes out of a man, it passes through and places seeking rest and does not find them. Then it says, I will return to the house I left. On its return, it finds the house swept clean and put in order. Then it goes and brings 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in and dwell there. In the final plight of that man is worse than the first. Now, in the King James, we're going to have to find out why some things call those waterless places. It travels through waterless places.
Right. Well, we need to look up the word right here, through arid places, seeking rest.
Right. They're dry.
Arid mean.
I want to keep going. Maybe we'll get back to that today.
Right. Just saying, we need to remember that.
Yep. And Jesus was saying these things. A woman in the crowd raised her voice and said, "Blessed is the womb that bore you, and blessed are the breasts that nursed you." But he replied, "Blessed rather are those who hear the word of God and obey it."
Amen. Right.
As the crowds were increasing, Jesus said, "This is a wicked generation. It demands a sign, but none will be given it except the sign of Jonah. For as Jonah was a sign to the Ninevites, so the Son of Man will be a sign to this generation."
Them, not us, to them.
He should be God in the flesh to our generation.
Right.
The queen of the south will rise at the judgment with the men of this generation and condemn them. For she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and now one greater than Solomon is here. And that one is capitalized. The men of Nineveh will stand at the judgment with this generation and condemn it, for they repented at the teaching of Jonah. And now that capital one, greater than Jonah, is here.
Right.
In front of that generation, talking to them.
Them straight to them, saying, "Hey, one greater than Jonah's here for you, right here, right now. You demand a sign. You're so wicked. Here it is."
And he says, no one lights a lamp and puts it under a cellar, or puts it in a cellar or under a basket. Instead, he sets it on a stand so those who enter can see the light.
Right.
Your eye is the lamp of your body. When your eyes are good, your whole body also is full of light. And now I'm glad we teach about how important the eye is.
Right. Right.
But when they are bad, your body is full of darkness. Be careful then that the light within you is not darkness. So if your whole body is full of light, with no part of it in darkness, you will be radiant as though a lamp were shining in you. Oh, for those days, right?
Right.
I just, and we're going to go on, and it's going to keep talking about it's that generation. It's that generation. We're going to skip down to one of the experts in the law in verse 40, 44, 45. Teacher, when you say these things, you insult us as well, because they're unmarked graves,
Right.
And he goes, and so Jesus not going to back off. He says, well, woe to you as well, experts in the law. You weigh men down with heavy burdens, but you yourself will not lift a finger to lighten their load. Woe to you, you build tombs for the prophets, but it was your fathers who killed them. So you are witnesses consenting to the deeds of your fathers. They killed the prophets and you build their tombs. Because of this, the wisdom of God said, I will send them prophets and apostles. Some of them they will kill, and the others they will persecute. As a result, this generation will be charged with the blood of all the prophets that has been shed since the foundation of the world.
Wow.
And if we were in court, and I've only been defended myself 4 or 5 times, but enough to know that that's good evidence in court. As a result, this generation will be charged with the blood of all the prophets that has been shed since the foundation of the world.
That's a load.
Yeah, from the blood of Abel to Zechariah, from A to Z, who was killed between the altar and the sanctuary. Yes, I tell you, all of it will be charged to this generation. Woe to you, experts in the law, for you have taken away the key to knowledge. You yourself have not entered, and you have hindered, millstone, those who were entering. So Jesus finishes, and as Jesus went on from there, the scribes and the Pharisees began to oppose him bitterly and to ply him with questions about many things, waiting to catch him in something he might say. So what it was, Tommy, is it looked like he wanted to, they wanted to catch him in a lie, and it was the Sabbath was their number one target.
Right.
And
They were all, isn't that great? They were always trying to catch him in a lie instead of listening and learning. You know, they're like that person that, you know, thinks they know everything, and you say, well, I want to talk, we're talking about A, B, or C, and they just automatically don't listen to you, and they start thinking of their answer. They're not listening to a word you say. They're coming up with their answer, and it doesn't matter. You can't talk to those people. You can show them sign after sign. You can, Jesus, how many more miracles did they need to have witnessed and heard of and saw to convince them? Nothing would have. Nothing. What are you going to do?
you not hold it against them, just like Stephen, just like the Lord. You know, it's everybody's doing their part, and if they're going to end up killing people, saying, "So you think God chose you? I'll just kill you then." Well, they're fulfilling prophecy.
But that's pretty heavy load that the blood of all the prophets and apostles since the beginning, Abel to Zechariah, is on that generation. On that generation.
That's why it's not going to be as bad now as it was then. It says that there'll be no time before or after, and well, here we are, and there's supposed to be a time after.
Right. But think about in their times, which people try to compare these times, call it the church age, to those times. There were huge kingdoms that worshipped Christ, and there were huge kingdoms that worshipped Baal, and there were huge kingdoms that worshipped, you know, the queen, you know, all that. I mean, do you see that now? I mean, really? Do you see
just the Queen of Heaven?
Right. You don't see huge communities worshiping Christ the way they did then. They were there. They were big ones. You know, they did a good job, a lot of them, but the Jews, no.
The veils that get lifted, they have to be lifted. And there were veils lifted at the time of Christ. They didn't see it coming, you know, and they were even people saying, well, who do people say I am? Well, they think you're John the Baptist or Elijah or just some other prophet. It's like, Peter's, well, who do you think I am? Well, we think you're the Christ. And the Christ might not have been as obvious to spot, you know, unless the Holy Spirit veil was lifted, because I mean, they obviously wanted a military Messiah or something else, you know.
Yeah, they wanted a ruler.
So I'm going to share again, if you don't mind.
Do it.
We're going to go back to the Bible and just look at like what's some of our strongest evidence that they knew there would even be a Messiah, and see how we would do unless we have the benefit of hindsight now, knowing that, you know, it was that generation looking back. Oh yeah, the Bible was written for them, not us. There was a, you know, it starts off
Mercury's there.
Isaiah chapter 9. You know, nevertheless, there will be no more gloom for those in distress. In the past, he humbled the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, but in the future, he will honor the way of the sea beyond the Jordan, Galilee of the nations. Here's the very famous verse. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, the light have dawned. You have enlarged the nation, increased its joy. The people rejoice before you as they rejoice at harvest time, and men rejoice to divide the plunder. For as in the day of Midian, you have shattered the yoke of their burden, the bar across their shoulders, and the rod of the oppressors. For every trampling boot of battle and every garment rolled in blood will be burned as fuel for the fire. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. To the increase of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish and sustain it with justice and righteousness from that time and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will accomplish this.
Amen. Right.
That's some good stuff right there, huh?
Right. And, like Stu says here, it's always, looking for what's right in front of their face and saying, I know what it's going to look like when I see it, but when it's right there, they never see it. It's amazing. They're blind, I guess, to truth. What is it? Are they so evil that they really are convinced, that Christ wasn't Christ? How could those people do that? Those scribes and the Pharisees? How? I don't get that.
Mammon, they were making money. They were selling blind sheep, instead of the choice of the flock, and the people were just taking what they had to get, because you travel all the way in Touristville and find out, Mickey's cotton outfit stinks like the dickens when you get close to it,
Right. So just as always, as in today, was so then money. Money is always the root of all kinds of evils.
I want to go back over, if you don't mind, Tommy, a little bit of this.
Well, this is my channel.
Yeah. If you don't like this one, just let me know, and we'll pop onto another topic, whatever you're looking for.
So far, I've enjoyed them all. So
let's just talk about this. Can you see it's on the screen now?
Oh yeah, I got it.
What we have is that this is a altered states of mind. So, it's from one of those Cambridge University things or something.
Right.
And it's, don't you think it was just put out today? And I think it's about time that they started sharing the same pictures. It's like, man, I've been using this picture for 4 years. And Tommy, maybe my show is harder than I thought. If I was teaching at an advanced college level and I thought I was dumbing it down.
Right.
Because, I find these things in the brain, and through understanding that and their writings, I understood, my goodness, they're attacking our midbrain and our thalamus.
Sure.
And no wonder Synthroid is making women think they have Graves' disease and they have to irradiate the most important organ in the midbrain.
Right. That synopsis right there. If you can control that, you control the person.
Yeah, and this is from, this guy is, the only reason we know this now is because this University of California television is doing these things online. This is from today, Tommy.
Right.
And let's just drop in for a second.
Formation here, which include compounds, which are some of those I mentioned: norepinephrine, acetylcholine, and glutamate. These neurotransmitters contribute to the alternance of wakefulness and sleep, and this manifests itself by some kind of during wakefulness and enhance microcircuitry in.
You heard the decorated peer reviewing. Somehow it makes it like this. They don't know.
Somehow during the day it regenerated.
And so what basically is an article about is, as you can see here, is altered states of the human mind: nicotine, caffeine, cocaine, amphetamines, and in general anesthesia.
Right.
The people back in the day that we like to, consider the primitives, they knew exactly which articles would stop, serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
Right.
They knew what chemicals would do it. And there's very special people, they're shamans, they did this and that and this and that. Well, now 100 years later, everybody's got every sacred herb: chocolate, sugar, coffee, tobacco, tea. Oh man, if I don't wake up with my Starbucks from Dunkin', oh man, my Starbucks from Dunkin'.
Time to make the donuts.
Yeah. I just use one brand name to identify coffee as another brand name.
Right, worked for me.
I'm programmed as everybody else, man. But how did they know down to the molecular level that it'd do this and that? But now it's so important that, oh no, everybody, you know, we're all like, we can't be like the people Moses said, make a prince of 1,000 and they'll run this. And then you be in the tribe of, you're a real prince of 100
Right.
and rule aside, you know, you'd be like the sons of Zippor or Zora, you know, going like, no, don't we know God too? We can see his fire and his cloud. Oh boy.
Right. And it's these days, us putting this information out there is I don't think it's all that much different than disciples and apostles going around. Look, guys, you know this part, but here's the part that's new. Here's the part that's been hidden. Here's the part that's been lied about. You know, he's already come. They're hiding 1,000 years from us.
Amen.
We cannot explain these huge mammoth structures with no toilets. We can't explain these mountainsides
that is something that we never can get off. Whenever Tommy and I are alone and it comes down to it's like that there's no toilets in Versailles and stuff like that. That never gets old to us.
Right. Still no running water, no nothing, really?
Let's listen how closely these kingdoms and cities were, how much they just don't want to admit that just because a lot of people believe the same things, they weren't all a part of one great big nation, that they were just little city-states. Right. You know, right. That just blows them away. They can't believe it. They don't want to believe it.
Right.
I can tell you quite safely that there's at least 98. And because of all the ones that we don't know or don't survive, we're probably talking 120, 150 more, maybe. So emblem glyphs are really quite common, and they belong to sites of hugely different size, sometimes very big, sometimes very small. And here we see the ones like Colorful Mall, but places, and including places we haven't yet identified. We don't know where Vital is.
But you gave it a name and all that. Yeah, I never identified it, but we gave it a name.
Also, some complexity. We know that later on that Bonaparte and Lacanha are kind of joined together. Kings are both places, and that same is true of Cancoen and of Machikila. So there's lots of these things, and we have to kind of understand how it works, that there's so many holy lords. And this is the kind of thing that Peter Matthews was working on in the 1980s.
Now, they translated that as why there are so many holy laws, but it's lords, the word they're working at. Is that how could there be so many lords of, you know, does each town have its own lord? That's almost would imply that they're just separate kingdoms.
Right. If each town has this unique deal, yeah, that was their leader and for their community, whether it was a mayor or a king or a governor, whatever.
Right. And the people elected the kings back in the day.
Right.
And they'd want a good king. And if you had a good king, being a serf wouldn't be that bad if everybody was basically working to their talents, doing unto others.
Right. And I think people mistake a lot of that situation and can't look at it like you have a job. In some jobs, you have a really good boss and everybody works hard for them. They really enjoy working there. It's just a good place to work. And I can't imagine those places wouldn't work the same.
I've done things where, you know, I worked when they're like, well, geez, this isn't going to work out for me. But I did. They're like, well, if I stay another 3 years, I'll be vested. And then, you know, no matter what, I'll get, you know, this is back when they still did that. So, I mean, I made 43 extra cash, you know, windfall by just staying with them to go ahead and get vested.
Right. So I don't imagine it was much different in my end civilization where they had so many cities. You don't like that ruler, go to another one. I like this.
The Bible there's a law that says no, if you love the guy that you work for, your master, and you will put yourself in his hands,
Right.
You go and have an awl pounded through your ear. You wear an earring that says, I'm this guy's slave for life. He's the man.
Right. He's a very good, and that's the way it was then. People just can't imagine it now.
Right. If we read about John D. Rockefeller and how he gave shiny dimes out to poor people, and he was a great guy. If that guy really was as good as they make him out to be, who wouldn't want to be like, I love working for him, or I love working for Thomas Edison. The greatest job ever.
Right. Right. Giving out dimes.
Yeah, I want to see if he brings it in that Wapa Hananapu or whatever.
And there became a big split because there were people who very much believed that there were huge regional states. But when Peter looked at these things, John Justison was working with him, there seemed to be just tons of these lords. And there wasn't a ranking between them. They didn't carry particularly different titles. They were all the same status. And if you follow that through, you end up with a totally different view. You have what was called peer polities or a mosaic or any other way.
I love that too, Tommy, because it's peer politics. Like, and the only time that these guys would be like, okay, I've got to go to find Moses is when it was just too big of a case and their peers couldn't figure it out. I love the fact that they call it a mosaic too, because Moses is the one who said, break it down into thousands, hundreds. Do you have any problems? Kick it up to the Supreme Court,
Right. Move it up to the higher court.
Right. And here's that area that confounds us. Yeah, they can't take a boat from here to Cuba right to Florida, but the Vikings can cross the sea with a magnetized needle in a bowl of water. Sure.
He did.
And all the Viking chiefs' wives are wenches that are just like bring me a beer, woman. Okay.
Right. Well, they rode halfway around the world. Remember that?
Yeah, they were. If they wanted, the Vikings were a handful too. All of those nations were handfuls. They probably all had some descendants of Hebrews in them. They were all mixed. I mean, Lot was a relative of Abraham, and it's kind of hushed up, in scriptures and stuff. But when you get to the other side of Jordan, you got to be good for the first part of the land here, because I've dedicated that land to Lot and his descendants. Well, Lot had just as much a part of this inheritance as the Jews. There was a part of the land that says, don't mess with that land. It's Lot's.
All right.
Let's just a couple more minutes of this.
Instead of a few big kings and lots of other provinces, you have many, many completely independent kingdoms.
And that's what our beautiful city is going to be, Tommy. That's what I think anyway. That's what I hope.
Right.
Completely independent kingdoms and peer-shaped things,
Right.
Look at the colors of their real life and how we present them. It is kind of like that Indiana Jones thing.
Right.
And so here's what they're shoving down our throat as I begin my studies back into more than just free energy and base 20 math, but actually the healing aspects of their herbs and their numbers and things like that. Is that there really was a fictional Indiana Jones character that they base everything on.
Right. Of course.
And, he really is the guy who discovered the most about Mesoamerica. And this guy really is supposed to be the guy that was his grad student that he passed the hat off to. So he's the new Indiana Jones.
Right.
Dr. Bill Saturno.
All right, Billy.
Billy Saturn.
Billy Saturn. No encoding there, right?
None. Zero. So he found the first mural allegedly guided by the original
5 years.
Indiana Jones. And so this is what he'd have us believe, that people think about him in Guatemala, and how easy it is to be declared a Buddha or Krishna or Zeus type god.
To see and experience. Now, it is a place of pilgrimage today by many of the modern Maya that live. This is a shaman from Santiago Atitlan. He came to visit the site and to ask a number of questions about the site, questions about me and how I was involved in the discovery of it. They tell a story of its discovery that's very different from the one I just told you. I'm really a lot cooler in their version.
Of course you are, big boy.
Tommy, he's Jesus Christ in their version.
Of course you are, big boy.
He's Jesus Christ. And now the Zeitgeisters are going to say, just one more person they made into a Christ.
Right. That's funny.
In their version, I'm like a superhero. In my version, I'm the idiot that I really am. But in their version, what they saw was that when I entered into that cave, it's a tunnel. When I entered into that space, I actually journeyed into the underworld.
Jeez.
In fact, I wasn't just dying, I died. And I entered the underworld. And when in the underworld, I was actually given access to sacred knowledge.
Oh,
the way and was allowed to return to the surface of the earth in order to bring that knowledge back to them. Told you, much cooler in their version.
I don't believe one word of that, Tommy.
Right. Funny. Even if he's just saying that's the story they made up, he's not doing anything to discredit it, is he?
He's enjoying it. He's like, he goes, these are the voice of a god, you know.
Right. This is their story. I'm not gonna say nothing.
And he gives the same money-raising speech over and over again.
Right. College after college.
Yeah, because when he went back to get that site and uncover everything, it was all paid for by National Geographic so that they could just put a couple photographers with them. Well, that's how that's money laundering, man.
Exactly. And he wrote a book, and that book is required reading in all of the geology, archaeology classes around the world. Think about it.
But I do believe that what we have here are the ancient records that, like, when they talk about, a book or a scroll, pretty confusing, sometimes what they're writing on, as long as they're writing. But if they're writing, because I need to look up that Hunaputu, because every picture of Hunaputu has a black mark on his face. And,
right.
And I'm going to try to tie that into Hunaputu, their god was Cain.
Right.
And that was the mark that was on him, that whenever it was recorded in the records, you'll know that, well, he went against, there was a farmer that got off, he was blessed by God, but he killed him, and then he got a mark on his face.
Right.
A mark, somehow.
Some kind of mark.
So all of his cities that he built, because he did go out to build cities.
That's
what
we're
doing, right?
Do what?
That's interesting that Cain went out to build cities.
Right. And then he had to the kingdom of Nod. Is that the?
Yeah. Let's see. He built a city that he named Enoch. That's the one. Let's. I'll just share and give Augustine's reason, if you don't mind.
Fine. Augustine will do.
Augustine seems to be pretty much the go-to guy, that everybody will go like, well, gee whiz, why did he choose Augustine? I don't have least that's one thing I don't have to worry about people going like, everybody uses him. So he says, at present, it is the history which I aim at defending, that Scripture may not be reckoned incredible when it relates that one man built a city at a time in which there seems to have been but 4 men upon earth, or rather indeed but 3. Well, not in our worlds, Tommy.
Right. No, we deciphered that, buddy.
After one brother slew the other, to wit, the first man, the father of all, and Cain himself, and his son Enoch, by whose name the city was itself called. But they who are moved by this consideration forget to take into account that the writer of the sacred history does not necessarily mention all the men who might be alive at that time, but those only whom the scope of his work required to be named. To design the design of that writer, in open parentheses, who in this matter was the instrument of the Holy Ghost, close parentheses, was to descend to Abraham through the successions of ascertained generations propagated from one man. So you could just, say whatever you want, say whatever you want. Cain did go out and build cities. It's, that's what it says. When I killed him, I got the mark. Okay, nobody's going to kill me. And that was God's effort to import to us the idea of how sacred human life is.
Right.
In case anybody would know. As it is written, and Cain knew his wife, she conceived and bare Enoch, and he builded a city. And he probably, once you build one city, you usually want more.
And the scope in that context of city, we can't know. Right? I mean, for whatever our imaginations conjure up when it says he built a city, we really can't know.
There's 2 different types of cities we see in the mud flood. We see the great big ones like Baalbek, and stuff like that. And then we see the pretty big ones, the mud floods that have the same architecture and the same designs and kind of big doors, but not as big as the other ones.
Or was he building star forts?
Yeah, exactly. Because they weren't dumb.
Right.
We look at them as being like cavemen, but they were not.
No.
They were not.
They were not. And for those kind of assumptions by people,
I'm trying to look up that one.
Well, on that line, mankind, we've already discerned that mankind, both male and female, made in his image, were sent out onto the earth to have dominion. And Cain and Abel came later. So I would think materials and labor would have been available to Cain. Does that make sense?
Give that one to me again.
Mankind, right? Both male and female, made in his image, were sent out to have dominion over the earth, right? And Cain and Abel came later. So when Cain went to build cities, I'm assuming there was labor available and materials.
And a lot of desire.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, does that make sense? Knowing what we know about the creation of mankind.
I think everything that we've talked about makes sense, man. and we have to look at it that way.
Right. I mean, anymore, I don't think we're making too big of assumptions with that kind of stuff.
And I still am kind of just like looking and reading too. Unfortunately, I can't. I don't know how to spell Hunaputu.
You don't? Come on, man. You don't know how to spell Hunaputu.
I'm getting close. Got it.
I got it. Is it spelled like it sounds?
Yeah, actually, it is. Hunahpu.
Hahunaputu.
Hunaputu. He
Hunahunaputu.
yeah, let's just get a background on him if you don't mind. We'll drop back into the share mode and we'll just look at it. There's going to be a couple of different ways of spelling it, I think, but he's another one of those Mayan hero twins. So we're Cain and Abel twins. I don't know, but it's kind of definitely two people involved in that.
All right.
He's the head Apu. It has been asserted that the Mayas of the classical period took a more optimistic view and believed the sad paternal figure to have been reborn as corn.
Okay.
In this theory, the scene of the tongue-shielded maize god rising from a turtle carapace, the tomb of the earth, as interpreted by the head Apu-1. The flanking hero twins assisted him are accordingly taken to be his sons. He's thus often referred to as a maize deity, and the maize deity is commonly referred to as a first father.
Right. Hunaputu.
Right. And he got a mark on his face.
Oh, you're looking for a picture.
I'm looking. Yeah, I'm looking because I mean that's what they talk about as the only way that they can identify him.
In their pictographs.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. See all images. Not all of them.
Well, there he is. That's him. I can tell he's this one here.
Right. The one before that, he had a mark. Yeah. No. Where was it? Yeah. See the white one right beside it? He's got a big mark down his face.
Yeah. So there's a mark on him. Look at these. Right. Is that the tutu?
Tubby. That's got to be a cartoon. Modern cartoon. Okay, so he has a mark on his face in all their depictions.
Right. So for now, I'm just going with that he has a mark on his face.
Like the mark
always has to be there in the historical record, and so maybe Cain was maybe we got to start looking at how they did all that. Maybe it was the Hispanics. We're not looking for somebody else to blame. We're looking at how we're going to tie this into the Bible.
Who was actually there and present? No, we don't care about their race, do we? What role did they play?
Not at all.
What role did they actually play?
It's pronounced Hunaspu.
Hunaspu.
Hunapu, but means one blow gunner.
One blow gunner. That's a good name.
So they've just recently figured out the phonetic way, to read the Mayan glyphs.
Right.
So glyphs are very important.
Yep. We've discerned some good information from them. I'm not sure I trust the academia's whole story on it. What happened to Alan's main channel? Asked Willem V. Willem V. Alan got a big old ban.
Yeah, they still don't want to hear about 5G whiz involved with the vaccinations,
Well, you just mirrored a video that's been out there for what? A couple of years, right?
Yeah. Actually been banned for that video before, but thought I could sneak it through.
Right.
See, Oregon is thinking about making a permanent mask ban. Permanent mask rule.
Mask rule permanent. You gotta love that. Let's just go full-blown prison camp here.
Let's just do it.
That's what it seems like they're doing up there. Y'all go ahead. Put up some fencing around yourself. Lock yourself in. Go ahead. Go ahead. We won't come block you. We'll let you stay in there. Just stay.
I was just checking out one of the things that they said about Russia in World War II and the United States was that the people had dodged so many bullets that they were just like, oh, another catastrophe, it didn't work out. Another catastrophe, it didn't work out. Oh, wow, we got invaded. And most people don't realize, because they wanted to focus on Hawaii, that same day was the day that MacArthur got his ass handed to him in the Philippines. But they call it the 8th because of that international date line.
Oh, really?
So whereas we lost eventually, 3,000 at Pearl Harbor, by the end of the war, when MacArthur, who knew what was going on, hid in his room for 5 hours, let every plane in the Philippines be destroyed before he deserted his army, over 100,000 and close to 1 million civilians were killed in the Philippines because they bombed it from the air, saying, we don't want to have one American life risked taking out the Japanese. So they bombed the city with this Philippine civilians still in it, who were American citizens.
Right. Are you meaning to share? Because you got the Drudge Report up.
Yeah, I just wanted to look at, this is our world now. This is our world now. The U.S. West is preparing for the.
I thought you were reading from something.
No, was just going top of the head here. But look, the water's down in Lake Mead again. Right. We're going into summer where everybody's going to need water. Our nation is still all divided, white against black instead of right against wrong. And we filter what's right or against wrong through two political parties.
Right.
That do not have our best interest at
you
heart.
You either believe this or you believe that.
Right. And when we look at Prince Philip's funeral and stuff, it's mud flood world, people, when you see the pictures.
Right.
Loyalty to our Queen.
Well, I'm not going to do that. So it's a mud flood world, Tommy.
It is. We know that.
So they still drive their carriages. They get their photo ops out there. Attack of the drones. Yeah, sure. Where's all the bees? Who really cares? There's a COVID movie. That doesn't look too goofy and weird. People want to be
yeah, the COVID patients everywhere look like that. Yeah.
Moderna, now you're going to need to have a third shot.
Of course.
Vax rolling stall. I mean, there is no, in our real world, it is still potholes, graffiti, and broken street lights. It's not just Lebanon.
But wait a minute. Florida variant cases explode after spring break. Now, wait a minute. That was the narrative the left was pushing, but from what I understand, there wasn't any uptick. It's going down in Florida. What the heck? Did you see it?
No.
Florida variant straight up from there, 1 and 2.
Oh, sure.
What is it? How are they saying it was an explosion?
This is the one that's got me. A Connecticut middle school teacher raised $41,000 to help hundreds of his struggling neighbors during the COVID. Got an unwelcome surprise for his charitable efforts. A form stating that he could owe $16,000 in income tax.
Only in America, baby.
Yep.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah. You know what, Tommy?
How dare you try to make a difference and help?
When the Bible talks about tax collectors,
right? It's never in a good light.
I think it's time for us to start asking ourselves, are the people that are working and having their payroll tax deducted and just handed over to the government without an argument. They're tax collectors. They're giving fully 1/3 of their money back to the government. They're tax collectors.
Self-collecting. We're self-collecting. We're doing the work for them. What if we made them physically come get it? IRS agents show up at my house and come get it after every paycheck.
Especially after a Hurricane Rita or one of those things like that. It's like, where's the, what have you guys done? You don't get no money this week.
Right. Right. None's coming in.
Their mind, yes, you do. Yes, you do. You always owe. You're always collecting taxes so you can give them some. You're paying them tribute every day. Right. And even if you're sitting still, you've done something that you owe a tax for, whether it's driving or eating or basically getting down to breathing. You're gonna pay a tax. When I come down to see you, I'm gonna have to pay the man. What is it? 25% of the gas price is a tax. Yeah, at least. Yeah, because they love gasoline. Right. Right. We cannot function in this world without paying the tax first, up front. Always pay the tax up front to the evil entity. What do we even call our government? Because government is too nice a word, I think, anymore. Yeah. The den of serpents, the den of vipers. What? There are occupiers. Yeah. We fell into the treaties that they broke with other nations, the 506 nations that were here, and because those little kingdoms that were described in the Mesoamerica part, they were running them here, and they made treaties with the United States and Portugal, Spain, Dutch, the English. Well, how come the only treaty not to have been broken is the Antarctic Treaty? Well, that's what it all comes down to, is we're helping them live the lie. It is flat Earth. Aren't we doing all the work? It is that the Bible's true. Well, I contend those people that work for Geordie Rose at the D-Wave computer, the people that work at CERN, the people who work, in the federal government, that take those secret, messages back and forth. Those people who sit there, what are they called? Analysts, that they listen to our every word. If there's something that, the algorithm detects, an actual human sits there and goes through our stuff and says, yep, here's a problem. Who are these people? We live amongst them. They live right, they're our neighbors. They're the people that we see at the grocery store. How do they do that day after day? They have the power, and those people in their minds, they're just doing a job. But don't be downhearted. We still have I'm going to share another screen here. This one's only a couple of minutes, but we're getting a whole world prepared that know how to understand these type of things. And we have to be happy with what the Lord gives. From the history of our planet, the true extent of which, according to the considerable collection of parts gathered over the years, was filled with the flourish of vast technological developments by many civilizations. This, although somehow missing from academic teachings. The reasons for this absence are deep and far-reaching. Religious institutions, scientific theory, yet the unfortunate root of all these motivations, seemingly fueling this orchestrated ignorance, is money. Certain theories are attached to substantially profitable endeavors. Therefore, academia is very unlikely to budge, even when confronted with evidence to prove they are wrong. They simply profit from the continuation of a lie. One of our most compelling defenses for our accusation, and the evidence we feel most condemning of academia's ignorance to this obvious truth,
is the highly complex, clearly advanced, seemingly impossible ruins found all over Earth, attributed by these said institutions to the most convenient recent ancestor. Not only do many of these structures still evade explanation today, but all of these so-called experts, undoubtedly handsomely paid to paint specific pictures of the past, fall silent in unison when asked to provide explanations to their claims. Not only how our modern ancestors built the palaces we share on our channel, but also why they never recorded such tasks anywhere within any of their substantial writings, or indeed artistic, illustrative documentation of their lives. Indeed, found drenching the structures they claim as their own, yet, apparently, not able of building. One of the most amazing, recently realized examples is undoubtedly Quaylab, a site we recently explored, and although the site has been known to the modern man for many centuries, it has taken aircraft photography and a keen observer to actually realize the truly astonishing task that Quaylab actually was. Originally thought to be a walled fortress, an astonishing ruin from the ground alone, yet viewing the site from the sky shows that not only was an enormous natural plateau artificially walled off, but the entire back of the fortress was amazingly backfilled with earth. The city of Tzintzuntzan, within modern-day Mexico, once had a population of between 25,000 and 30,000. However, when the Spanish arrived in the 1520s, the conquest virtually decimated the population of the city. This clear evidence of how easily civilizations come and go, yet academia remains deliberately oblivious of this fact. The extraordinarily circular structures found within the city, claimed to be pyramids, have merely been ignored and assumed to have been the work of these once decimated modern inhabitants, completely ignoring not only the astonishingly precise stonework, but also the fact that just like Quaylab, the site contains astonishing earthworking, created with unbelievable precision, and like Quaylab, containing circular structures. Was this site once built by the same people? An incredible site, one which demands astute and honest research.
Very interesting stuff.
Very interesting. You know, and that kind of stuff just, when I see it, it brings to my mind that those were the last people during the millennial reign of Christ, and when the devil was loosed, his armies came through and just wiped them out. And that proves why they can't tell us what this stuff says. That's why they don't know. They're just saying, yeah, it's here because these people lived, and that's it.
Right.
And
as we can see, what we're looking at here, Tommy, is more stuff from the Solid Rock, who, you know, he checks out my stuff. He thinks he's having an open mind, I guess, but he knows that there's something to the melted rocks.
Right.
And so that's what we're going to be looking at now is mud flooded melted rocks. If you see any pictures you want to comment on, just let me know. But something happened, and something's coming to my mind. I think it was 2017 when I revoked everybody's PhD in the whole world.
What is that?
I revoked all their PhDs. They don't have a doctorate in anything because they're all, everyone that believes the Bible and Flat Earth Nation is more educated than they are.
It would seem, right?
Yeah.
It would certainly seem like.
And we're going to prove it. We're going to show that these mountains were giants and that the small rocks are body parts and everything's reserved in judgment.
Right.
And we're going to answer these questions for them. Show these things, there's things that go down in the body that are that small. Of course, if you want to make a temple or a building out of unhewn stone, you'd have to backfill it with dirt. You'd have to go find where those bones are straight. And there's a lot of them in the body that are. And you make a wall, then backfill it. It's just like moving a brick. You just number it and move it. If you're motivated, you do it.
Right. Yeah, some of this stuff is just wow. Just amazing.
It is, and there's a reason for arches. There's a reason for every dip, and it's not geological, it's biological.
Right.
It was Armageddon is over. It was the worst devastation ever. I mean, a flood didn't devastate it so much.
Right.
It was the Micah,
heat.
mountains melted like wax with a fervent heat. Reminded us that Peter said, that's what's coming. Remember, the fervent heat's coming. And it did.
Yeah, some of these carved out of the mountains and stuff. I can imagine the frequency and the acoustics that they can get with that. That
Remember
looks
what was it in Cappadocia, those catacombs in Cappadocia where somebody could stand on something they called the pulpit and be heard over 20 miles of tunnels?
Right. Go back a little bit. I've tried to get you to stop. You said you would, and you never have. You won't. You refuse.
Try it again.
Now go forward a little bit. Right there. That one, stop. That to my mind, when I see that, it's almost like piano keys or something. You know what I mean? And that's like a big transmitter.
That thing's seen some heat or something, man.
Right. But look at all the.
It almost looks like one of the heating elements I used to have on my 20 amp
radiator,
cassette booster when I had my, I wanted a powerful Jensen triaxial speakers to be used to their full potential.
Right. Yeah, radiator, something, cooling system.
So these people are pretty smart.
Yeah, that kind of stuff brings to mind to me a speaker or something like that, a transmitter.
They were trying to chop this thing down.
They were doing their best. They were like, "Give up, jeez,
man,
too hard, man.
You want to keep paying me to do this? I'll do it." And eventually, they said, "Forget it. Just leave it." We probably have to wait for bigger cannons.
Right.
Hey, that's that building. It's a cooling tower. What?
Cooling tower. Yep.
What?
Isn't that crazy? Look at that. Wow.
That looks like a dog whistle.
Just there in the middle of nowhere. No bathrooms in them either, I bet you.
It's the middle of nowhere somewhere.
All right.
Well, I'm telling you, that's good proof for that endorheic basins and that, all the rivers don't flow to the ocean anymore. There's a reason for it.
All right. No bathrooms anywhere in any of these.
That looks like an observatory inside a mountain. Looks like something melted over their observatory.
Those observatories we looked at last week, this looks like a lot of them, doesn't it?
You can't see the stars no more, Tommy.
No.
It's only good for the stars that are on the far horizon. That was a Disney castle, Walt Disney's first castle. They just have to get busy and excavate it. I like that dramatic shot of him running down the stairs.
Right.
Wow. How did they know that door was there? Because somebody was inside, broke it out, and they said, "Hey, look."
What on earth happened here?
Cooling towers, I believe those are. Types of them. You can see that's brick just overlaid with plaster.
Right.
That bricks in the United States and Indianapolis being the brickyard, that's more than just good proof for the United States being Egypt,
Right, those roads like that, brick.
Now that was quite a little tower right there.
Yeah. Little twist to it. Is that made out of like sticks? That is woven.
It does. It looks like it's made out of stripped birch pieces or something. And they got their own little atmospheric energy thing going up there too.
Right.
Everybody needs to remember it's a big deal in the Bible that the Herus, the Jews, they don't get no medal. One time under David and some of those other people, they turned out to be a rebellious people, and they cut off our giants' heads, and they they don't get no more metal. Which after a certain time, when Satan's loose, people would go like, "Hey, remember those guys that don't have any metal?
Yeah,
I'll bet you now we could kick their ass."
Right.
Something's going on, man.
These are crazy. The Eiffel Tower.
The golden age passed. We're all thinking new thoughts. Is that your summer house, Tommy?
That's the winter home. We like to ski.
Oh, okay.
Right off the backside there.
That's how you build a pyramid underneath a big circle, in case you're wondering.
Right.
You do it right.
Look at this.
This is from the solid rock. Here's normally what he's got going. He's like Captain Kirk was the. But we don't like the same kind of music.
No, we don't.
So I just usually look at his pictures and listen to the Bible. Looks like they were building a nuclear reactor back in the day.
It resembles some kind of configuration thereof.
I had to dig that out with my fingernail because I forgot my trowel.
Right.
Hey, that's a flat Earth map on that.
Right there.
Right there.
Flat Earth.
Before the after the Pangea, but when they were still connected. Before Armageddon, they drew it because the Armageddon, was a flood too. It just didn't cover and kill everything.
Right.
It made a lot of the mountains and the islands go away. But look, that's Africa or something. Oh man, something's going on. Is that a railroad train going down there?
Track.
You got Tommy. I'm telling you, that's not going to work.
Right. What is up with that? That's crazy. Face down, he died, right?
What is this? I don't believe it. Oh, yeah. We're getting into the monarch, the Operation Paperclip symbolisms.
Right.
He probably just changed songs.
The best, the greatest MCs of all time, and sometimes I'm fucking up with your mind, motherfuckers.
Dang. PG-13 alert, right?
Right.
Stay home, sucker. Hey, that's up really good. I can tell. I've got,
Look at these.
Hey,
amazing.
Wow. What is going on here?
Right. It was all slave labor, no skilled labor. It was, they were busy.
Oh, look at that. That's a griffin standing up. There's a word for that. I know when I hear the standing lion, the sitting lion. There's it was melted. It was melted like wax.
Right.
That's everywhere in the world. There's Petra, parts of Petra, because there's so much of it. That's photoshopped.
That's photoshopped. Right. Some pretty good carving there.
Yeah, that lion was sneaking on somebody, man.
Right.
Double-headed eagle holding up two twin kings. A sphinx. Hey, that sphinx looks weird.
Right. What's up?
Look what we found. Mud flooded. This guy's taking a break, man.
Right. He's done digging.
Wow. I see those people that stack rocks out there in Colorado along the road like that.
Right.
I haven't seen one that good before. Not in a circle.
No.
Another little mini Stonehenge. That one probably hasn't been faked. That guy can stack some rocks. My old boss, Jack Gohausen, he was a rock stacker. Oh my goodness. He never got tired of it. Hey, there's the fake Anne Frank's grave.
Right, just out there.
There's a couple of Celtic crosses. Celtic cross could also be used as a surveying tool, according to this one guy I studied one time.
Right.
That if you tie a string on it,
yeah,
you can use it as level and then see how many degrees it turns. You know, as it hangs level, you could turn it and see what degree it was. But I don't know if they find them with numbers on them, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That looks like an iron.
Right, doesn't it?
But there's no irons. It's all body parts.
Look at all that melting.
Dang.
That's wicked.
It's Gandalf.
Right. It's crazy looking, huh?
They even broke that guy's nose off. They really were into that, weren't they?
Right.
Find a statue, break his nose. Find a statue.
Right, guys, we're going to build a house up here. Y'all build a staircase up to it first. And then we're going to haul everything up it.
If it wasn't for those hidden staircases or steps that have been carved out in the mountains like these, you run into them all the time when you're up there rock hounding.
Right.
It makes it so easy because, honest to goodness, when you get to the top of one of those things, you just have to sit down. It's so tiring.
Oh,
it's easy on TV, but it's killer.
Oh, I'm sure.
I can't believe they get those old people to, and they help them up there and stuff like that. That'd be the hardest part of it, getting the old people. That's fake.
Wow.
That's a modern repo.
Man-made. Yeah, no new ideas. Just copy.
That looks like the top of a submarine or something.
Right.
That looks weird
Man-made.
too. I've never seen that one, so maybe that's the shell of an old.
Right.
There's an observatory. Have you ever heard of that Dogger land, the land in between England and Sweden? I guess that was they got maps of that as, a couple hundred years ago being all filled up where England was connected to Norway and that stuff.
Right. I hadn't seen that.
I don't know what we're looking at there, but he's not going to explain it. It's just going to be.
No.
Okay, I'm losing these pictures. He's gotten to get. He looks like he's shot it. Now we're going into like the Face Mountain stuff. Some of these
those are photoshopped.
Yeah. Fake.
Other people would believe it, but we know better.
Hey Tommy, look, you're advertised on my requests.
Emma, there you go.
Yeah, there's 7 people watching. Thank you so much. That's
that. I guess. North Carolina's 31% gas tax, said Big Pig Slapper.
Wow. Here's some more of his pissed on breadcrumbs. Yeah, they got those Zeppelins. They thought they were going to take over the world, Tommy.
Right.
Those guys that pull that cart, they always thought that was such a great job. Look, Steam Carriage Company. That's a good one, Tommy.
That's a fancy one. That's a Cadillac.
You could drive that one on the road. It didn't need tracks. It had the front wheel you could turn independently.
Right.
They're coming for you, Tommy.
There's an airship. Get your Zeppelin.
That's nice. Hey, there's the horse right next to an electric train.
Right. With telephone poles everywhere.
The flesh is fallible. The fallible flesh.
Agreed.
Some of the warp and woof of the ancient textiles are just as mysterious as the antique architecture, the Antiquitech.
Oh, some of those patterns, some of that cloth was crazy.
Yeah, and it was strong and it lasted because it was hemp. It was hemp.
Yeah, but their color, their abilities to dye and make patterns, and it was just for the time a simple wooden loom. Really, that you did all that? That's pretty good stuff.
These buildings, these ones on the corner and all those towns, you know, every town has them. It seems like
That looks Photoshop.
my son hates these triangular buildings so much.
Yeah, it looks like they cut it where it doesn't look.
It looks like it should be showing more of a thing, but who knows? They could be just playing with the angles. 2 days to Europe. They were just discovering the noble gases.
Right.
Just all of a sudden, that French art comes up out of nowhere, and I don't understand it, so I'm embarrassed, I guess.
All these people, but all this art comes out, and you're told all these people, this is a masterpiece. That's not so great. They're nobody.
Mystery of the Ages I think that's Blavatsky. Oh, magic sigils, Tommy.
Right.
They used to have us practice those in school. I wouldn't know that all these things, equal 15. If you'd just go through them, you could see 9 and 1 is 10 and 5, 15. 2 and 8 is 10 and 5, 7 and 3. If the corner's 2, would probably be 2, 8. Oh no, that's not. That's not the corner. So this wouldn't be not a good one in my world, because these corner ones, there's a way you can make them to where they go to 15 too.
Right.
But whatever.
I
don't want to be an expert on sigils,
Yeah, it sounds like
I don't even know
what's the deal here, man? What do you and sigils got in common?
That's what that Shaker and John Dee and those guys spread on all of us in the King James Version. They got those codes and stuff implanted now.
Right. See, Semitic patterns there.
Remember what I study.
Do what? You're breaking up.
Rock. What kind of music you got? This guy is worldwide rap. He's probably an expert.
Does he do the music just to be?
So that's a UFO in the background. There's another. Tommy, you have no idea how much they love rap music. You don't get it. Rap music is all they've ever heard. It's what we love it as much as you'd love when you that somebody's been outside LaGrange. They love it. Honestly, you don't have to understand it, but you believe they find it pleasing. I don't get it.
I can't imagine that. You've told me that, and it's just so hard to believe.
They've looked me right in the eye and told me it's the purest form of music. It's the spoken word. Wow, that's some androgyny.
Wow, what is
you see that guy only? How come these Baphomets don't do this, right? He's only got. Oh, he's been skinned on one. That's a girl that's been skinned on one side. Never mind.
Something.
Yuck,
right.
That's gross. What is he? They got to be gross. Look at Poseidon is demonstrating the breaststroke.
Something.
Man, that is one tiny deer.
What's the dots on her face about?
Yeah. Probably, it's just a symbol of honor. You used to have to be okayed to get tattoos like that. You couldn't just pick them. Oh, yeah, put 3 dots on my face.
That's mud floody.
Very much so.
Disappearing stairs.
Yeah, so is that. That's pre-cleanup mud flooding. That's World War II, is what they tell us, but it's really mud flooding. And there's Tom's version. Tommy wanted to change Las Vegas and say, "Look, man, you need to make that horseshoe casino bigger."
Bigger. Just and the mushrooms. There you go.
There you go. Those are the psychotropic, psychedelic Amanita muscaria type of mushroom.
What is the dude supposed to be? Like a troll or something?
He's got that black mark on his head too.
On his head, right? Is he Cain?
So he pissed on breadcrumbs by Solid Rock. Another could be Tokyo, could be Germany, could be any other town that was destroyed with phosphorus when they burned it down in World War II. That's their story. That looks like very Rosicrucian-y. What? It's photoshopped because it has to be.
Because it has to be.
That's kind of light I want when I read my vice verses.
Right.
Okay. Sometimes I should think before I talk. People don't read vice verses. I don't want you to get the wrong idea.
Read your vice verses.
Yeah, that'd be Proverbs chapter 15 when you have to read about the way the seductive woman comes at you.
Right.
Disrespectful summons.
All
He's
right.
at the side of bacon.
Is he a ham?
Yeah. What's going on there at the Dolan?
It looks like there was trouble.
Yeah, it looks like they're throwing their fascists away.
All right.
I remember when I put that mirror in, I was thinking, like, it's gonna make the room pop. It'll make the room pop.
For back then, we're told, how did they make that stuff?
This almost kind of looks like they're trying to make tanks and things like the periodic table in a way is what I don't know. I don't know what they're doing
for them. Yeah, to be able to put them on a grid.
There's your toilet. To let at so you could rent the earth if you had enough money.
All right.
That this one's always been kind of weird to me too because it says oh there's that this is more of Bob Fuller or Bob Flood.
All right.
That's Bob Flood.
You think it's Floody?
Yeah, that's that guy we were just talking about, Flood. He did that one and he did this one too because I remember it. Look, he has all of the planet. This must be what they call Saturn.
All right.
You got all the planets connected here going around the stars in the heavens.
Okay.
And that's where people like to go up when they want to smoke their pipe weed.
Okay. Looks like it.
I'm making that last part up. I'm making it all up except that is one of the Flood things. We recognize this one of his kind of eyebally looking with the four winds and the currency. This guy's about to speak in tongues, I bet. A Phrygian cap, compass, and a plumb bob on the compass, Tommy. Plumb bob on compass would be just like one of those Celtic crosses. It'd be easier in my world. Got the Phrygian cap, which is hanging on the U.S. Army logo to this day. It's in a lot of national flags. The Phrygian cap represents, she's holding the gallbladder that gives the people their freedom. She's on one side, death on the other, and here's flaming Apollo and Perseus. Who was it? Icarus that was going to try to be like, I can fly, I won't melt.
Close to the sun.
Yeah. Trust me, there was a fascist at the bottom, too. One more. There's your fascista, everybody. Right there.
Yep. All of it's in there, isn't it?
It's just it's like, where's Waldo sometimes, right?
It's all in there. I got a rock kind of like that.
Yeah. Look at that. Solid rock piston breadcrumbs. There's his little boy, I guess. How you doing, young man? Your dad's a rock hound. What do you think about that, Tommy?
All interesting stuff. We're on to something here, Alan.
Amen.
Things are not what we've been told. And nothing else explains it. It just doesn't.
Oh, yeah, and I'll be able to mirror this sometime when I get unbanned, and I'll put it on my channel too. But everybody right now, I can't. It's time to subscribe to Tommy, and it's time to start maybe thinking about getting another channel of your own.
Right. Did you see the video out? There's some guy, I don't know who it is, but it's a short video, and he's on a stage, and he's in a good sized arena, and he says, they accuse me of being a Q conspiracist, and he says Q is the only way. This is about the children, and all this, and it's a big rally, man. And this guy's going on about Q is the way that they're gonna save the world and save the children. So you asked the other day, who's doing the Q thing now? That's the only thing I've seen in a while.
It's percolating up. It's not going to go away, and it's going to be save the children, but they're millstoning them.
Right.
Here, save the children. Here, take this phone, go play games in there, and we're going to be saving you over here by raising money.
Right.
No, the Bible saves the children. The Bible millstones the children. They don't need 5G. They don't need vaccines. Nope. Right. As you thinketh in your heart, so you'll be. Eat right, eat healthy. Don't put fluoride in your body. Just do what's right. And as a man thinketh in his heart, boom. So he is.
I mean, we're in a special time here, aren't we?
Right. What we need to do for ourselves and everybody listening is do what they did in the Bible, and I need to do more, is pray that God increases our faith. Because we've been, leaning towards becoming a faith pioneer, and we need more faith. I mean, we got to find out, how do we get more, and what do we do with it when we get it? Because obviously we have not, because we ask not, because none of us have been praying as much as we should.
And that for people, this is new. It's hard to grasp. It's, I understand people still being, and the friends not willing to step over the line and, step out of the secular world. But it's go time. It's time. I mean, if you're not going to go now, then you're going to stay in the secular world, I guess, because it's go time.
It's one thing people would say, Alan, what shocks you the most about, if they would tell me, you've had 10,000 comments in the last 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more. But what surprises me most is how few times people say, how can I get baptized? Where can I get baptized?
Right.
Where can I get baptized? Because that's part of the deal too. We still have rules.
Right. And I'm hoping that happens. Maybe they don't put a comment, but hopefully they go to people, friends, family, go back to their own church and seek God and get baptized. That's what our hope is.
It's hard for me to recommend going back to any churches right now, unless, we need to establish a flat earth church where people can be somewhat not just going back to, hi, I'm just here to have you globetarbs baptize me.
Right. Right. I mean, it's a system now that we're in that we have to be very discerning. We do have to go with that gut feeling, that vibration. We do. We just have to be much more in tune now. Because like you said, I wouldn't feel comfortable walking into any church in Abilene, Texas, and feeling confident I'm gonna find the Holy Spirit there, and I'm gonna find the narrow path.
Like what Big Brother Randy likes to refer to is what discard, why he won't go to most churches, is that it's not true fellowship.
Yeah. Yeah. It's peership. looking
But
at each other,
it's
judging.
what we need to be in fellowship. How can we forsake not the gathering of the saints if we don't get together and have some organization?
Right. And that's why on our live streams, we like to, have other people come on and have fellowship. Say, have your say. Everybody. I don't think there's anybody out there that wouldn't like to be able to, just have their say.
Well, let's plan tonight live. What do you think we should do? Something at like 6 o'clock. How's your schedule looking?
6 o'clock will be fun. We can do that. Yep.
I'm going to pray and we'll, this is going to be another, let's trip up Tommy. I'll try to not give him any pre-show information.
Well, thank you, Alan. I need that.
It will give you about 20 minutes to see with what the Lord comes up with, but.
Man. All right.
You know what? I'm going to be leaning towards what we were talking about the other day with that Watsons and their AI computers. And, we'll just mix it up a little bit.
Excellent. Sounds good.
Thanks for having me. What a good idea. I'll talk to you soon, Tommy.
All right, brother. Have a good one. All right, guys. We that's the longest show we've ever done on this channel. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you tonight at 6 o'clock on Alan's Facebook. We do it on his Facebook channel. So see y'all later. God bless.